This is Lena from Just a Little Bit Country, and today we're going to do a book review on V.C. Andrews' books. We're going to start with a book that's not exactly written by her, but it's about her. The Woman Beyond the Attic, the V.C. Andrews story by Andrew Neiderman. I haven't read it yet. It's supposed to be about her life and the book she wrote. I will read the back of the book. It says, I step into a universe of my own making, and I am the god. What a sense of power. When I write, I have dependable friends right there waiting for me. That's my gift. Virginia Andrews, 1986. You've entered the worlds of V.C. Andrews' making. Now get a glimpse of Virginia Andrews' life. The Woman Beyond the Attic tells Virginia's story for the first time. With tales from her childhood, snapshots at the early days of her career, and accounts of relationships with her closest family members, all told within the context of the books that made her famous. So this is V.C. Andrews. And I loved her books. I started reading her books when I was 13, and the very first book I ever read of hers was My Sweet Audrina. It's missing its front cover. This is the book that my best friend gave me to let me borrow when I was 13 years old. So, it is old. I'm 54. This is the very first book, My Sweet Audrina. And it just now come out with a sequel to it called Whitefern. The sequel to My Sweet Audrina. I haven't read this one yet. This one, I love this book. V.C. Andrews, author of the phenomenally successful Dollanger trilogy, has created a fascinating new cast of characters in this haunting story of love and deceit, innocence and betrayal, and the suffocating power of parental love. Audrina Adar wanted to be as good as her sister. She knew her father could not love her as he loved her sister. Her sister was so special, so sweet, and dead. Upstairs in the locked room were her sister's clothes and dolls, her animals and games, and her sacred rocking chair, which held the secret of all her sister's gifts. Now Audrina will rock and claim those gifts. Now she will come face to face with the dangerous, terrifying secret that everyone knows. Everyone except My Sweet Audrina. I love this book. As I said, I was 13 the first time I put my hands on a V.C. Andrews novel story. And I haven't stopped yet. I did have a bigger collection of V.C. Andrews books when I went to Germany in 1989. But we were getting divorced, and instead of sending my stuff to me, he sent my stuff to his parents' house, to which they got rid of everything. Anywho, I've had to start over on my collection of books. But I can tell you this, that every time we moved from a post to a post to a post after that, when I was married to Scott, we were normally over our weight limit because of my books. And at one point he told me, well, we're just going to have to get rid of some of your books. I said, okay, as long as you get rid of your G.I. Joes and all your little army toys that you carry along with you. Now, if you want to get rid of them, we can get rid of some of my books. But if your G.I. Joes and all that bullshit stays, so do my books. The books won. Anyway, there's My Sweet Audrina. I don't have the front cover to give you because I don't have it. This is the sequel to it, Whitefern. Or the back of it too. Whitefern swallowed Audrina's childhood, and now the sprawling Victorian mansion threatens her adult life, too, in this long-awaited sequel to My Sweet Audrina. Audrina remembers a better time when her husband Arden was a young man with a heart filled with devotion for her. He didn't used to be this ambitious, this expensive, this cruel. But then the death of Audrina's father changed a great many things. I have read this. Haha, I remember reading it now. Okay. When the reading of her father's will reveals that Audrina herself has controlled 51% of the family brokerage, the halls of Whitefern, again, don't feel safe. Arden's procrastinations become frantic, nearly violent, and while Audrina didn't anticipate running a family business, she's curious to do so. And she can't help but wonder what had made her father change his will at the last minute. What did he know about Arden that she didn't? Trapped in the middle of it all, her fragile, simple sister, the beautiful, trusting Sylvia, Audrina promised her father she'd watch over the young woman. But after years of relative quiet, the dark days of Whitefern may have returned. Daisy, it's a pillow. You can't scratch it and do anything else with it. Just lay down on it. It's just a pillow. It's not dirt. Crazy dog. So I have actually read Whitefern. So there's only 2 in the My Sweet Audrina series. Okay? That's the Adair series. Is My Sweet Audrina and Whitefern. Now we have the Dollanger family series, to which I have read everything that I have on the shelf. We have Flowers in the Attic, it is old. My book is old. Righteous anger, innocent fear. Because the grandmother's wrath had not yet materialized, Chris and I had grown careless. We were not always modest in the bedroom. It was difficult to live day in, day out, and always keep the intimate places of our bodies secret from the other sex. And to be perfectly honest, none of us cared very much who saw what. We should have cared. We should have been careful. We should have kept the memory of Mama's bloody, welted back sharply before us, and never, never have forgotten. A key turned in the door lock. Swiftly I tried to put the dress over my head and pull it down before she came in, but she had seen me naked. It was those glittering gravestone eyes. So, the grandmother spat, I have caught you at last, sinners. You think you look pretty? You think those new young curves are attractive? You like that long golden hair that you brush and curl? She smiled then, the most frightening smile I ever saw. That's book 1 in the Dollanger series. Then we have Petals on the Wind. This is number 2. For Carrie, Chris, and Kathy, the attic was a dark horror that would never leave their minds. Of course, Mother had to pretend they didn't exist, and Grandmother was convinced they had the devil in them. But that wasn't their fault, was it? Kathy knew what to do. She knew it was time to show her mother and grandmother that the pain and terror of the attic could not be forgotten. Show them. Show them once and for all. This is book 2. Book 3, If There Be Thorns. Oh, I'll show you the picture. It has a picture on this one on the inside you can see. Okay. Out of the ashes of evil, Chris and Kathy made such a loving home for their splendid children. 14-year-old Jory was so handsome, so gentle, and Bart had such a dazzling imagination for a 9-year-old. Then the lights came on in the abandoned house next door, and soon the old lady in black was there watching their home with prying eyes, guarded by her strange old butler. Soon the shrouded woman had Bart over for cookies and ice cream and asked him to call her grandmother. And soon Bart's transformation began, a transformation that sprang from the Book of Secrets the gaunt old butler had given him, a transformation fed by the hint of terrible things about his mother and father, a transformation that led him into shocking acts of violence, self-destruction, and perverse sadicity. And now while this little boy trembles on the edge of madness, his anguished parents, his helpless brother, an obsessed old woman, and the vengeful, powerful butler await the climax to a horror that flowered in the attic long ago. A horror worse, whose thorns are still wet with blood and still tipped with fire. Book 3. Seeds of Yesterday, which I have 2 copies of. Ha ha! Because sometimes when I go to the bookstores, I go, oh, the B.C. Andrews book, I need it. I get home and I have one already. Seeds of Yesterday, and there's no inner things. You can see the outside. The final haunting novel, an extraordinary story that has enthralled millions. The horror began with Flowers in the Attic, the terrifying tale of 4 innocent children locked away from the world by a cruel mother. The shocking fury continued with Petals on the Wind, and If There Be Thorns. Now B.C. Andrews has created the last dark chapter in the strange, chilling tale of passion and peril that has captivated millions of readers throughout the world. Kathy and Chris, intertwined with evil that haunts their children, living with the fearful specter of Foxworth Hall, are awaiting the final, shuddering climax, prisoners of a past they cannot escape. Seeds of Yesterday. And when we all thought that it would be the end of the series, a new book come out. I don't have the cover for it. Garden of Shadows. It is book 5. And it actually starts when their mother was a teenage girl. Neiderman to the last will and testament of Olivia Winfield Foxworth, to be opened 20 years after my death. I have been forced to leave this record. Had others not decided to tell my story for their own gain, the secrets of the Foxworth would have been buried in my grave with me. Cruelty comes in many forms. Ignorance is one of them. Because of ignorance, I have been judged. Now I have gone to him, the only judge whose verdict matters, and accepted his pronouncement on my soul. Those of you who remain below will hear come to know the true story. And knowing the truth, judge me if you dare. Olivia Winfield Foxworth. So this is about Kathy and Carrie and Corey and Chris's mama, Olivia. This book is. And then, long after that, we have Christopher's Diary, Secrets of Foxworth. The mesmerizing secrets of flowers in the attic, in Christopher's words. Christopher Dollanger was 14 when he and his younger siblings, Kathy and the twins, Corey and Carrie, were locked away in the attic of Foxworth Hall, prisoners of their mother's greedy inheritance scheme. For 3 long years, he kept hope alive for the sake of the others. The shocking truth about how their ordeal affected him was always kept hidden, until now. Kristen Masterwood is thrilled when her father's construction company is hired to inspect the Foxworth property from a respected buyer. The once grand southern mansion still sparks legends and half-truths about the 4 innocent Dollanger children, but holds a special fascination for Kristen, who was too young when her mother died to learn much about their distant blood tie to the notorious family. Accompanying her dad to the forbidden territory, Kristen rescues a leather-bound book found in the rubble, its yellowed pages filled with the neat script of Christopher Dollanger himself. And as she devours this shattering account of temptation, heartache, courage, and betrayal, her obsession with the doomed boy crosses a dangerous line. Christopher's Diary, Secrets of Foxworth Hall. There is another one out called Christopher's Diary, Echoes of Dollanger. I don't have that one yet. And then we have Secret Brother, the most unexpected Dollanger story of them all. An elderly man loses his grandson in the same ER where a young boy is dropped off and left for dead. Moved by the plight of a traumatized child with no home and no memory, he takes the boy to his vast estate to recover and raise alongside his granddaughter, who becomes enraged at her grandfather's actions and ashamed of her secret brother. But while the boy doesn't remember where he came from or who his family is, their presence lingers in the shadows like ghosts of the past, a past he might be better off leaving in the darkness. Secret Brother. I won't tell you who that is. You're going to have to read the books. Okay, so from the Dollanger family series, I still need Christopher's Diary, Echoes of Dollanger. Okay, now we're into the CASTEEL family series. We have Heaven. I don't have the front cover. Here's the back of it. Heaven is the first book. It says, all the folks in mountain shacks, the CASTEELs, were the lowest, the scum of the hills. Heaven Leah CASTEEL was the prettiest, smartest girl in the backwoods, despite her ragged clothes and dirty face, despite a father meaner than 10 vipers, despite her weeping stepmother who worked her like a mule. For her brother Tom and the little ones, Heaven clung to her pride and her hopes. Someday they'd get away and show the world that they were decent, fine, and talented, worthy of love and respect. Then Heaven's stepmother ran off, and her wicked, greedy father had a scheme, a vicious scheme, that threatened to destroy the precious dream of Heaven and the children forever. Book 1. Book 2 is Dark Angel. I have it in hardback, and then I have it in paperback. I'll show you it in paperback so you can see the cover. So, Dark Angel is Book 2. At last, Heaven would find the happiness she longed for, free from the scorn and contempt of her past. In her grandmother's fine, rich Boston house, Heaven Leah Castell dreamed of a wonderful new life, of new friends, the best schools, beautiful clothes, and most important, love. The pearls of culture, wisdom, and breeding would now be hers. Soon she would make the Castell name respectable, find her brothers and sisters, and have a family again. But even in the world of the wealthy, there were strange forebodings, secrets best forgotten. And as Heaven reached out for love, she was slowly ensnared in a sinister web of cruel deceits and hidden passions. 2. Book 3 is Fallen Hearts. Proud and beautiful Heaven came back to the hills to rise at last above her family's shame. As Logan's bride, she would savor now the love she had sought for so long, and free from her father's clutches, she would live again in a backwoods town, a respected teacher and cherished wife. But after a wedding trip to Boston's Farthingale Manor and a lavish, elegant party, Heaven and Logan are persuaded to stay, lured by Tony Tatterton's guile, to live amidst the Tatterton wealth and privilege. Then the ghosts of Heaven's past rise up once more, withering around her fragile happiness, threatening her precious love with scandal and jealousy, sinister passions, and dangerous dreams. That was number 3. Number 4 is Gates of Paradise. Here's the front one for it. Stunned by tragedy, desperate and alone, Heaven's daughter clung to the frailest of dreams. The car crash that killed Heaven and Logan left Annie Castell Stonewall, orphaned and crippled, whisked off to Farthingale Manor by the possessive Tony Tatterton. Annie pines for her lost family, but especially for Luke, her half-brother, friend of her childhood, her fantasy prince, her loving confidant. Without the warm glow of Luke's love, she is lost in the shadows of despair. When Annie discovers Troy's cottage hidden in Farthingale's woods, the mystery of her past deepens, and even as she yearns to see Luke again, her hopes and dreams are darkened by the sinister Castell spell, treacherous, powerful, and evil. And the last book of the Castell series is Web of Dreams. And we can open it up and see a good picture on the inside. With nowhere to go and no one to help her, Leah fled into the arms of Luke Castell. Leah Van Boren had to escape from Boston's Farthingale Manor. The foul secret she harbored within her seemed to darken her life forever. Jillian, her mother, would not believe her, and Tony Tatterton, her stepfather, had betrayed her most cruelly. But the pure devotion of Luke Castell promised hope and respect. Only Luke knew her deepest secrets. Only Luke would love and protect her. Bravely she bore the suspicions of the Willies hill folk, as she tried to grasp the happiness that had so long eluded her. Leah prayed with all her heart that her bright, shining dreams would save her from tragedy at last. So that's the last one in the Castell family series, and I have all of them. And I've read all of them. So the next one is the CUTLER family. We start off with Dawn. And I have all of them. So here's Dawn. In her fine New Virginia school, Dawn Longenkamp feels happy and safe, but nothing is what it seems. Now Dawn and her older brother Jimmy have a chance for decent, respectable life, and Dawn's secret precious hope to study singing can come true. Okay, I've not read this series. We have Dawn is the first one. Secrets of the Morning is the second one. Twilights Child is the third one. The fourth one is Midnight Whispers, and I have it in hardback. And the fifth one is Darkest Hour. Oops. The fifth one is Darkest Hour. And I have it in hardback as well. Okay. Then we have the Landry family series, and I am missing Pearls in the Mist. So the first one is Ruby. I've read all of this series, but I'm missing that one book. This is Ruby. In the heart of the bayou, Ruby Landry lives a simple, happy life, but innocence can't last forever. The only family Ruby Landry has ever known are her loving guardian, Grandmere Catherine, Acadian spiritual healer, and her drunken outcast grandpeer, Jack. Although thinking about her dead mother and mysterious father sometimes makes her feel as mournful as the wind singing through the Spanish moss, Ruby is grateful for all she has. Her life is filled with hope and promise, especially when her attraction for handsome Paul Tate blossoms into a mysterious, wonderful love. Paul's wealthy parents forbid him to associate with the poor Landry, and Grandmere urges her to follow her dream of becoming a great painter, foreseeing a time when Ruby will be surrounded with riches in the dazzling city of New Orleans. Yet she cannot know how close that uncertain future looms. In a faded photograph, Ruby glimpses, for the first time, the image of her father, and learns of a shameful deception and a shocking scheme of blackmail that now must come to light. Stunned by these revelations, she is devastated when Grandmere dies, leaving her to seek out her father in his vast New Orleans mansion. There, in a house of lies, madness, and cruel torment, Ruby clings to her memories of Paul to keep her heart alive, for only their love can save her now. This is number 1. Pearls in the Mist is number 2. I don't have that one. Number 3 is All That Glitters. Not going to read any more of that. Number 4 is Hidden Jewel. Yes, Hidden Jewel is this one. I don't think for me or not. Hidden Jewel. Number 5 is Tarnished Gold. And as you can tell, they've been read and reread and reread before. So, as I said, I'm missing Pearls in the Mist for the Landry series. The Logan Family series. I think I have all of them, and they are down here. We start out first with Melody. I have it in hardback. And then we have, what do we have? Heart Song is next. Then An Unfinished Sympathy is next. And then we have Music in the Night. I haven't read these. Not all of them anyway. And the last one is Olivia, I mean. So, then we have the Orphan Ministries, which is Butterfly, Crystal, Brooke, Raven, and the Runaways. So that's all here in this book here. The Orphan Chronicles. Is it the Orphan Chronicles? Right? Yes. All of them are in this book here. And then we have the Wildflower miniseries, which are these right here. Oh yes, the Orphan Ministries. All of them are in that hardbound book except for Runaways, and this one's Runaways. It goes with that book. So now we have the Wildflower miniseries, which consists of Misty, Star, Jade, and Cat. I have not read them. You guys not lying down there. You have to go back up to the book. And the last of the miniseries of that is Into the Garden. Okay, the next set is the Hudson Family series, and it starts out with Rain. Rain is the first one of the Hudson Family series. Have not read it. And then we have Lightning Strikes. We have The End of the Rainbow. We also have Eye of the Storm, and Eye of the Storm I do not have. Then we have the Shooting Star series. This one here, which has cinnamon, ice, rose, and honey. So cinnamon, ice, rose, and honey is in here. And the last book to that series is Fallen Stars. I have not read this series at all yet either. And then we have the De Beers family series. I have read all of them but the book that I am missing. Willow is the first one. All that glitters isn't gold. Willow. Wealth, extravagant parties, celebrity status. These are things Willow De Beers could only dream of until now. After discovering deep family secrets in her adopted father's journal, Willow bids farewell to her North Carolina college town and sets out in search of her birth family, amid the ritzy glamour of Palm Beach. Using an assumed name, pretending to conduct a study of one of the nation's wealthiest communities, Willow takes Florida's Gem City by storm and quickly encounters Thatcher Eaton, a young lawyer who sweeps her off her feet. But as Willow spirals into a passionate love affair and becomes intoxicated with the lifestyle of the rich and famous, the dark truth about her birth family threatens her fabulous new life, pushing her to the brink of insanity. The second book is Wicked Forest. I ended up with two of them. Wicked Forest. After discovering her true identity, Willow De Beers leaves her North Carolina town to live with her real mother and father in Palm Beach, Florida. Now caught up in a world of glamour and extravagant wealth, with nosy neighbors fueled by gossip and greed, keep an eye on her eccentric family, Willow is determined to make a fresh start. Thatcher Eaton, the debonair attorney, uses his intoxicating charm once again, this time convincing Willow to give her hand in marriage. It's to be the richest wedding of the decade, even by Palm Beach standards. But as future plans are made, families feud and rumors fly, and Willow soon learns the horrifying truth from the darkest of secrets. There is no escape. The next book in that series is Twisted Roots. Twisted Roots. From the outside, Hannah Eaton seems to live a charmed life in wealthy Palm Beach, Florida, with her mother Willow, a renowned psychologist, and her stepfather. But deep inside, she is miserable and lonely. She's been abandoned by her father, a prestigious lawyer whose family wants nothing to do with her. Now the arrival of a new baby brother has consumed her mother, who is obsessed with caring for the sickly infant, and so Hannah slips further into the darkness, into the shadows. With the help